Howdy, this is Brian here. Going to be reviewing my first Spyderco knife. This is the Byrd line knife. Comes packaged in cellophane, inside bubble wrap, packed inside this nice box. Looks pretty much like a Spyderco box, even though this is my first Spyderco. I've seen other videos. Very similar box. This is model number BY03GP2. GP2 is G10 model plain edge version 2, or revision 2. This is the second version of this knife. The other knife, the first version, I think had a different grind on the blade. Definitely, if you buy a used knife on eBay or something, be careful that you don't get the older version by mistake. So listen to the lockup on this. Locks up real solid. It's a lock back knife. It has real pretty scalloping, which helps cut the weight, but it's also real pretty. The quality of build on this knife is excellent. Let me see if I can get my autofocus to kick in here. For some reason it is not wanting to focus very good. There you go. That you can see the scalloping, and you can also see the thickness of the blade on this is thickness of the blade on this is actually blade thickness is 0.1025 inches or 3 millimeters. The other specs on this knife is it's 8.5 inches overall length. Length closed is 4.75 inch. The actual cutting edge on this blade is deceiving, because it's really only 3.188 inches long. You've got a ½ inch of finger choil here. It's not actually, but the overall blade length is about 3.75 inches, but you lose ½ inch right here. So that helps you choke up on the knife. The quality of the build on this knife is excellent. With shipping, I think I paid about 40 bucks for this knife. So you can see and it came razor sharp. I don't know if you see that edge there, but be a really good EDC and or a self-defense carry knife. Last ditch self-defense. Be a very good slashing blade, because this thing is razor sharp. It's got a pretty good belly to it, so it would slash good. It's also very, very sharp. The point's needle sharp. So very very nice blade. It's got an R stamped on the steel here. You probably can't see that, and I doubt if my camera will focus that close. But there's a small R in a circle on the blade here. Probably someone that designed the knife. Real little stamp. The China is stamped very small. You can't hardly read it. It's so small. And it says Byrd over here, and the type of the steel 8CR13 MOV, which is AUS-8, the Chinese version of AUS-8, and the Chinese version of US standard 440C. So basically, good little steel for the money. Pretty easy to sharpen, pretty good edge retention, and high value for the money. So you can get a knife. I don't know if it's the paramilitary or Endura. I'm not that familiar. One of them is almost identical to this, but it's double the price, and you get a little better steel on the blade. And I actually like the handle on this one better, I think, than I do that one. But the build quality on this was excellent. I'm very happy with the quality on this knife. It's perfect. I've seen some videos where there'll be a little bit of space by one of these bevels, or back here on the back end there'll be a little bit of space on one side or the other. Not so with this example. The quality of manufacture is very good. It's pretty smooth opening. Like I said, I don't have you can hear the lockup on that thing, man. It locks up with authority. So anyway, happy with the quality, and think it's plenty smooth opening. I coated this with treated this with G10 with G10. I coated this with Militech, which I typically do with all my knives. Excuse me. This freaking autofocus on this Nikon wants to go. It only works when it wants to, and I apologize for that, but at the moment it's not wanting to focus. So hopefully you can see that. It's looked like it's focused pretty good on my keyboard anyway. But it's basically about 40 bucks, so it's a great quality for the price. I got this free gift from Not Just Knives, little canoe knife. It's real nice too. Appreciate that, Mr. Cassidy. And I'm going to tell you what Spyderco says about this little lockback knife. I think it's a very high value knife for the money. I'm just going to, this is copyright Spyderco. Byrd knives are the subject of a number of engineering refinements for 2010 with improved ergonomics, 4-way clips, up, down, right, left carry, and subject to CQI, constant quality improvement. As manufacturing processes and material availability improves, so do the Byrds. Our newest evolution of the Cara Cara is the Cara Cara 2 with G10 handles. It's a full flat ground, high performance 8CR13 MOV blade. Shaped like a comet, the hole in the blade symbolizes quality and careful manufacturing tolerances. On the blade spine is a group of cross-hatching called jimping. The jimping is excellent on this knife. Thumbstick along with the ramp. The jimping is very purposeful here. Anyway, available for the first time is the 4-way clip, tip down, tip up carry, right or left. Attaches in the pant pocket where it rides deep and confidently, and you're going to have about a ½ inch sticking out of your pocket, which gives you something to grab if you don't have a lanyard on this. Also has a pretty good sized lanyard hole here. It's not bad, about medium size on the lanyard hole. Now see there, now my Nikon autofocus is working great. It kind of has a mind of its own, if you know what I'm saying. It works when it wants to, and that's the way it is. $1,000 Nikon. Now if you want the autofocus to work all the time, you need to spend $2,000. Anyway, I'm happy with the picture quality on Nikon, so I'm going to quit whining. Mid-position lockback has a David Bowie cut away dent, which is right here, this little dent cut in here. And that's a safety feature to keep from gripping the handle real tight and accidentally unlocking the blade, which would not be comfortable. And I would suggest it wouldn't be a bad idea for Cold Steel to do that on their knives, especially the Espada. That's what I'm talking about. Because on some of them Espadas, if I grab the back of the handle, my finger's right on that lock. And if you're in a defensive situation and you're all amped up on adrenaline, I've thought about, oh man, I hope I don't ever unlock that because it'll chop all my fingers off. Those Espadas are razor sharp, but detent like that might help on that Espada, or moving the lock on it up or down a little. I don't know, but I've worried about that on the Espada a little bit. Have to be careful where you put that thumb. This way, at least, even though it doesn't keep you from putting your thumb on the lock, it lets you know that you're on the lock so you can move your thumb off, you know, without getting yourself in trouble. Standard Spyderco pocket clip, I think. I like it plain rather than painted black. I don't like the black paint on any of this stuff. I like that black Tenifer finish SOG puts on their blades, but I can't stand blades that are painted black, or the black Teflon or whatever. Don't like it. Black Tenifer, either a plating or chemical plating process is better. And if they're not going to do that, if they're not going to do it right, they ought to just leave it plain. Anyway, I think that's about it on this knife for me. There's several other videos out there. The scalloping is very pretty. Excellent build quality. There's just like 5 torque screws here to disassemble the knife. If you're, you know, better at that sort of thing than I am, I wouldn't even think of disassembling this unless I had to, but it can be done pretty easily here with these torque screws. Got probably a number 6 torque screw here to adjust if you needed to. Although lockbacks tend to be tight, and this one is solid up and down, right and left, no play whatsoever. You'll find loosening the the adjustment pivot on a lock back like this actually will have very little effect on the how easy the blade opens. You get it loose enough to where it affects how easy it opens, and then you will have some play in the blade. So you don't want to generally do that. Typically you just want to leave that alone, as long as your lockup's good. And I'm pretty happy with the opening. I have short thumbs, so I'm not real good at opening them, but somebody with a little more a little more coordination than me and a little longer thumb could open that thing right up. If you flip it open, it comes open pretty easy. So for 40 bucks, I can't see you getting a better knife. Unless I lived in an area where I was worried about rust or I had a real hard use situation, I probably wouldn't spend double to get the Spyderco version of this. The quality and everything in this knife is just excellent. So I think that's all I've got to say, and this is my particular example. The quality control on this particular knife is outstanding for the price, and couldn't be happier with this little knife. I did real quick want to show you something. This is a Boker knife. It's only been out a couple, 2 or 3 years. It's a Boker TD, but the Boker it's a copy of the Boker cinch knives. And the cinch knives, I think, have been around for 30 years or so, and they're very popular down in Texas. Down, the cow people on farms really like the cinch knives, and they're all the same design. They just have different materials in them. They even have a pink version for girls, but you can see there might have been some influence. I'm wondering whether Spyderco built a whole company around the cinch design. I'm kind of thinking they might have, because like I say, those cinch knives have been around a very long time. I think decades. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that, but for some reason I'm thinking the cinch design has been around for a long time, identical to the overall design of these Spydercos. On this Boker, it's only about 1.8 ounces. It's a great carry knife if you can't carry one this big. This one's a little shiny and a little sharp to whip out in a lunchroom full of old ladies. I wouldn't do that. It's a little flashy, and it's got a real big sharp edge on it. People can see it's pretty noticeable. So where you work, whether or not you could get away with this. If you're in a warehouse where everybody's carrying a knife, this would be fine. But just be cautious of what you're doing. This little TD is a lot lighter, but it's smaller. But if you want, a featherweight knife, and you can get by with the smaller blade, about 22 bucks for this little Boker TD. Or you could go for one of the cinch versions of the knife. But yeah. So anyway, that's it on the Cara Cara 2. That's about all I've got to say about it. Thank you, Mr. Cassidy, for the little gift you sent. Appreciate that. I don't know if I mentioned it, $6 shipping. And I ordered the knife on a Monday. I got it today. It's Friday. It's 5 days to get to my door. So that's not bad. 1 day for it to ship. And I noticed a lot of times they starting to work on, they usually transfer it and are starting to pack it in the warehouse the same day. So pretty happy with not just knives shipping, and also the cost of shipping. The only way it could be better is if it was free. But anyway, I think that'll conclude my review on this knife. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.